Hello, Southern California, and welcome to this week's edition of Right on the Money with Tom Mosley. I'm your host, Kristin Oakley, and I'm here with Tom Mosley himself. He is the founder and president of Mosley Wealth Management, based right here in Southern California. Today's show is going to be everything you've ever needed to know about your 401k, but we're afraid to ask. And so we're going to get into it. We have lots to cover today, but Tom, I'm excited to have this conversation with you. I think a lot of folks, you know, it's interesting. They have a 401k or any type of workplace retirement plan, right? We don't want to leave 403bs, 457s, TSPs out of the conversation either. But there's not a lot of education surrounding those. I remember when I was first thrust into the real world and all of a sudden I had a 403b for my first job out of college, but there was no guidance. It was just like, oh, this is the match and this is what you do. But there's just not a lot of education out the gate. And then I think folks feel dumb for asking questions because they feel like they should know this stuff. And a lot of financial planners out there aren't talking about these things because that's not products that financial advisors make money off of. So I want to set this up by just sharing what makes you all different in the fact that you do offer 401k coaching, workplace retirement plan coaching at Mosley Wealth Management.
It's amazing. I had almost the same experience you just described. I was actually working for a church. It was a 403b, which is a 401k for a nonprofit organization, okay? And the lady that was the HR person at the church, she didn't like me, you know, really. I know that doesn't happen within a church, but I was not on her, you know, I really
favorite
want
list?
this guy to succeed. Yeah, right.
Right.
But, and so, you know, she never told me about the 403b. I asked about it and she was very vague about it. And I really think that she didn't know about it because that HR person is not a person who's trained on the benefits of a 403b. They know how to get you to sign the paperwork and get you started with the 403b or the 401a or the 401k or the 457. All of them, I call them the 4 plans, not the floor plans, but the 4 plans. They know how to get you started, but they're not there, and they definitely don't know how to show you at an early age how to set yourself up for a later age. The future's not in their mind. The paperwork's what is in their mind. And there's usually no one to come around and explain the 401k to people and enroll people in the 401k and to help people. So I had almost the same exact experience. So what we do as a whole, when it comes to 401k, is we take people who are younger, and you don't have to have a ton of assets. You probably don't have a ton of assets to need to get your 401k or your 403b set up properly and to start contributing to it. Some of the things we're going to talk about on today's show. So we offer, whether you're 20, whether you're 30, whether you're 40, 50, 60, almost ready to retire, we offer 401k coaching. Now, what 401k coaching is, we don't make any money off of this because legally it's not possible. But what we do is we go into our client's 401k and we say, let's look at your risk tolerance. That's what your risk tolerance internally is. That's how much risk I can take and still be able to sleep. And a lot of that has to do with your age. And we say your risk tolerance, now let's find within your 401k, let's coach you as to what you should be invested in your 401k. Almost exactly what we do in the real larger world. When you come to us as a client, we say, what's your risk tolerance? Where should we go with your investments? The only problem is you're limited many times within that 401k to just 20, 25, maybe 30 at the max of those selections that you've got to pick. And I've had people, I had one guy one time say, it was in a bad year, and I said, his name was Daryl. I said, Daryl, why are you in this BlackRock fund? And man, Daryl got real excited. He said, BlackRock. He said, man, I go to Maui almost all the time. And he said, just north of Lahaina there's this area called BlackRock where I go snorkeling. And he said, I saw BlackRock and I just thought, I'm going to put half my money in BlackRock.
Oh, wow.
And I looked at it and I said, Daryl, you lost 32% in that one last year. How does that snorkeling? I said, you could have flown to Maui 4 times with your family and paid for the whole week if you'd have just not lost any money in that BlackRock fund that had nothing to do with where you're snorkeling. So I found out a lot of people are just making just pull it out of the hat. And then something worse than that is the target funds. And I know
Yes,
we
the
were scheduled to
TDFs.
talk about that a little later, but I'll
Yep.
bring it to the early part. If you want to almost be sure that in a down year you're going to really lose money, go into the target funds. Because the target funds are the lazy funds, is what I call them. They're the old 70-30 stocks and bonds, 60-40 stocks and bonds, 50-50 stocks and bonds. They just have repackaged them and put a new name on them.
Well, they
okay?
put a year on it based on when you plan
When you're
to
going to
retire.
retire. And
Right.
it's just to lower the stock level and put more in bonds. Well, you know, bonds in our nation are pretty much doomed for a long time. Read a recent article that they had in the Wall Street Journal where it said it's going to be 15 or 20 years maybe before bonds really respond. Why? We did quantitative easing for about 15 years where we've just flooded the market with bonds. There was even an article in the Wall Street Journal in April of 2024. I don't know when you're going to be watching this, in April of 2024, and it said that the latest quarter of bonds that were on sale by the U.S. government, they weren't sure they were going to be able to sell them.
Wow.
Because people didn't want to invest in them right now.
Yep.
That's what you get with those target funds, a balance between stocks and bonds. So I recently did a 401k coaching analysis of a large company in Chino, which is in Southern California, and they had 24 options. This was recent. This was right at the beginning of 2023, so it's not that recent. But in 2022, when the market was down, they had 24 options in the 401k. 22 of those options were down 22% or more.
Wow.
So where are you going to go?
Right.
Where are you going to go? Well, that's what we hope to help you find by going through and talking about some of the things of a 401k.
Well, you've put together an extensive list of the common questions that you get asked about 401ks, and we are confident that you all have these same questions about your workplace retirement plan. So let's kick it off here, Tom. First of all, I know folks come in and they do ask you this question: should I even participate?
Well, there's a lot of advisors right now that are trying to sell you a whole life insurance policy. I'll just tell you what it is. It's an expensive life insurance policy. Could be beneficial to you if you're paying a lot of taxes and you want to put something where it's going to grow without tax and come out without tax and not be reported as tax. But you got to be making a pretty good amount of money for that to, in my view, to really be beneficial. So they're saying, don't put your money in a 401k, put it in my product. You always got to ask yourself, who's going to benefit if I put it in my product? You know, who's going to benefit there? You need to benefit. Yes, contribute to your 401k. I think the major reason to contribute, you and I have a mutual friend we talk about a lot of times in here. He wrote the book, The Automatic Millionaire. And in it, he said, you automate the important. And if you automate that money going into your 401k, your advisor makes nothing on that. I make nothing on that. Okay, everybody get that established? But you make a lot. Because before you get your measly hands on it, it goes directly into your 401k. And many times, this is really, I mean, being somebody who's not contributing to your 401k is not very brilliant. Not contributing when you have a match is a double not very brilliant, okay? Because you get free money. If I put $4 in and my company's willing to match that $4, then I've put $4 in and I get $8 and it's my money, okay, I'll play that game all the time.
Right.
So you need to at least investigate your 401k, good, bad, or ugly. You need to put money in that 401k up to at least the match of your employer, because that's free money. If you need any help on further describing that, please call me, because we can get you financial help and we can get you other help, okay? Because you need other help in that. You definitely need to take advantage of the 401k by contributing and also at least getting the company match.
Yep, for sure. And you know, it's interesting because I know I see a note on here that a target, because a lot of people ask, how much should I be contributing? And a target would be maybe 15%, right, of one's income. I think the bigger tragedy sometimes is when folks, let's say the match is 4%, and so they say, great, I'm going to do 4%, and I'm going to at least get the match. Of course, we want you to do that. But really, the question is, how can I accumulate the most wealth. And it's not stopping at 4% if you can afford to put even more in. And that's an important distinction.
It is. I'm so glad you brought it up, because we encourage people when we're coaching them on their 401k to share your raises. Now, I don't mean share with the poor. You can do that if you want. Share with your church. You can do that if you want. I mean share it with yourself. When you get a 4% raise, okay? If you get a 4% raise, give your 401k 2% and you take 2%. You get the joy and the excitement of a little bit more money into your bank account on a regular basis, however often you get paid, but you also get the joy of seeing that 401k grow until you can maximize it, okay? Until you can put the most in every year. Now, it's not uncommon for me to have people walk into the office with $1 million now in 401ks, 1.4 in 401ks, and you think, wow, at a $23,000 limit or a $30,000 limit, how in the world did they do that? There are two ways to do that. The time that they put in for 20 or 30 or 40 years sometimes, because they're 60 years old and they've been putting in every single year consistently. That's why I say automate it, like Dave Bach's book, The Automatic Millionaire. Automate the putting in of the money, okay? The second thing is they have given themselves a raise and they've given their 401k a raise. And I get it. Sometimes 4%, if that's the match, is all you can do. You've got 4% raise and 4 kids that want to be fed, and 4 kids that want to play Little League or dance or do those things that they want to do. I get it. I lived that, okay? But when you do get a raise, give yourself that part of it and give your 401k a part of it, and as soon as you can, get up to the maximum contribution. Then when you turn 50, they even give you a catch-up provision where you can put an extra $7,500 a year into a 401k or a 403b. When you do that, just continue to give yourself the raises through that time period, and during that period, you might have some expenses that are dropping off of your ledger, like the travel ball and the dance and the college expenses. So that's when you can really maximize that 401k.
So much goes into this, and I know that, you know, some folks watching might still be working and still be contributing to these plans and have these questions about those plans, but equally as important is knowing what to do with that money once you've accumulated it. And I know that that is often the bulk of someone's lumberyard, to put it into context of the complimentary retirement blueprint that you offer. That's
right. You know, when you get not to the end of your work, because at 59 and a half, they allow us to do what's called an in-service distribution, where you can actually then, because the 401ks are so limited, you can actually take money out of almost all 401ks and begin to do an in-service. You're still in service with the company, it's the reason they call it that, but you can take some of the money out, if not almost all of the money out, and begin to really build your retirement blueprint. That's where we can really step in and help you with the money that we've helped you create by the 401k coaching, by then putting it into an individual retirement plan that's optimized for you.
Wonderful. Tom, thank you so much. I know we have a lot more questions that folks have been asking you that we're going to get to throughout today's program, but if you would like individual help with your situation, this is the perfect opportunity for you to call and claim your complimentary retirement blueprint from Tom and the team of Mosley Wealth Management. You can do so by calling that number you see there on the bottom of your screen, 866-709-1462. Or if you have your smartphone handy and you'd rather not talk to someone right now, don't worry, we've got you covered. Simply pull it out. You can open up that camera app, point, click, and scan that QR code that you see down there in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. That will take you over to a landing page, ask you a few short, simple questions, and then a member of the team from Mosley Wealth Management will reach out to connect with you to schedule your complimentary visit that way as well. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, I'm going to be asking Tom a big question that's on the top of everyone's minds. If you have access to a Roth 401k within your workplace retirement plan, you're not going to want to miss what Tom has to say about that. Stay with us.
My company now, we're up to 12 people, and we have 6 advisors and 6 support staff. Our main office is right across the street from Anaheim Stadium in Anaheim, right above the Partners Credit Union. We're on the 2nd floor above that. But we have a satellite office now in Glendale, north of downtown LA. Out east, we're in Chino. And then down in San Diego, we have a really quickly growing office down in Scripps Ranch. We're still a little bit like mom and pop. We don't just like our staff and our employees. We love them. We have lunch together. I bring in lunch on Mondays, and we spend about an hour just talking about the weekend and talking about life with all 12 of us that are there. There's some businesses where everybody pulls together and where everybody pulls their own way. It's definite in our company that everybody pulls together. We care about each other. It blesses my heart to see a couple of my new advisors come in on a Monday, and they're talking about the fact that they took their wives out together, the 4 of them, and went out for dinner on a Saturday night. In fact, one noted person told me recently, he said the chances that somebody would start a business and in your area and get to where you guys are at Mosley Wealth Management is about probably 1 in 50,000 because of the success we've had and the focus we've had on working with people to make sure they don't run out of money.
Welcome back, Southern California. You're watching Right on the Money with Tom Mosley. I'm your host, Kristin Oakley. Tom, of course, is the founder and president of Mosley Wealth Management based right here in Southern California. And we are talking today about all the questions you've ever wanted to know regarding your 401k or workplace retirement plan, but might have been afraid to ask. And one of the biggest questions that we are hearing a lot these days, some folks now have the ability to choose what kind of account they want their workplace retirement plan contributions to go into. So a lot more companies now, Tom, are offering the traditional, but they're also offering a Roth option. And some companies let you decide. You could put a certain percent into one, a certain percent into another. How do you best advise folks who have the Roth option available to them on what they should do with their contributions?
It's a very, very astute and timely question because some of the Secure Act provisions are almost forcing companies to offer a Roth. And I think the sinister reason the government is doing that is they get the tax on the money that you put into the Roth right now. When they first started selling 401ks they started selling. By that I mean they started presenting 401ks to us with what were the benefits of the 401ks back in the 70s and early 80s. It was the fact that you don't pay the tax on the money now. That's still true. Any money that goes into the 401k, you lower your tax for that year.
If it's the traditional side.
If it's the traditional side. The problem people are now seeing is you put that seed, plant that seed in the 401k, it grows for 30 or 40 years, and then when you take it out, you pay tax on the oak tree. Okay, so you pay tax on the huge 401k. So people say, well, I wish I'd have gotten in a Roth way back then. Well, you know what? They didn't even know what Roth was until 1998. And it didn't become popular until 2019 with the Secure Act 1.0 that left us a lot less secure because now your regular IRA that most people turn their 401k over into, that has to be drained by your heirs within 10 years now, not over their lifetime. So everybody woke up and said, wow, that's going to put a big burden on my kids during their prime earning years. If I'm in my 80s and they're in their 50s, they're topping out their earnings, and now they've got to drain my 401k. So along came and said, well, let's do the Roth. And let's do Roth conversions, which is the whole subject of other shows that we've done and will do in the future, because those are really good to do right now. To take your money out of something that is forever taxed in the IRAs and the 401ks, regular, and to get them into something that never is taxed again, into the Roth IRAs and the Roth 401ks. So, to your question, if you have an option of a Roth 401k, I would encourage you to take and put as much as you can in the Roth side, as much as you can stomach. Now here's what I mean. Show me the person who loves to pay taxes. I've not met them yet. The problem is just the opposite of what they sold the regular 401ks and IRAs to us, and they said, put your money in here and delay your taxes. Now they're saying, put your money in the Roth and pay your taxes now. That's the seed. And as that grows, you never pay tax on it again. Here's the issue. You leave that to your spouse if you're married, and the year after one of you passes away, you go into a single tax filing bracket. Okay, well, your rates drop in half, and you get to the 22 twice as fast, and you get to the 24% twice as fast. It's called the widow's penalty, because now you've got the same amount of IRAs and 401k money there that's got to be taxed, only now your brackets are single filing. Big tax burden. Then you leave it to your kids. Big tax burden over 10 years. The Roth solves all of that, because you never pay tax on it again. Not in your lifetime. Not in your spouse's lifetime if they survive you. Not in your heir's lifetime as they get the money. They still have to drain it within 10 years, but it grows tax-free and it comes out tax-free. Man, this segment's been on the Roth, but that is really important. Short segment, but a very important segment for you to really grab and really grasp and understand that paying the tax now, watch, swallowing that tax now, it's tough. It really is. Even in the Roth conversions we do with some of our people. They'll do them for 3 or 4 years, and they'll come to me, they say, can we take a break for a year?
I'm exhausted, right?
I'm exhausted of paying so much tax. So we take a break for a year. They always come back the next year and say, hey, maybe we need to double, because I feel so bad now because the money's grown and I've created more and more tax. Remember, Roth, a regular 401k and IRA, forever taxed. A Roth, as it grows, never taxed again. Which do you want, forever or never?
Well, and this is why we've talked on the show before about the financial vortex, the competing financial priorities that folks are facing. It can be really challenging, you know, to ask yourself the question, especially if you've worked multiple jobs and maybe you have an old workplace retirement plan that you have rolled over, and historically those were predominantly traditional plans, so now it's a traditional IRA growing. If it's the choice between, gosh, Tom, I can contribute to a traditional 401k and get a tax break today, or I can be paying money to do a Roth conversion, or I can be putting money into a Roth. Oh, and by the way, I still need to live and have my expenses. That's a lot to try to figure out.
And let me be clear, Roth is not always the option. Roth conversions are not always the option. Roth conversion is where you go ahead and pay the tax now so that it won't be a burden to your spouse or to your heirs. I'm working with a gentleman right now who has over $11 million in IRAs and 401ks, and he's a little upset with me because I tell him, you're going to leave all of your money to a 501c3 charitable organization. They don't pay tax. You leave all of that money to them, and they don't pay tax on it. So it would be counterproductive for him and detrimental to his heirs, those 501c3s, to do Roth conversions. So it's not a blanket answer. That's why we offer the retirement blueprint. And don't call in and say, send me one, because we have to have you come in and tell us where you are so we can tell you how to get there where you want to go with your retirement blueprint. But that's free for watching this show. It's complimentary. You just have to reach out and claim it.
Tom, thank you so much. To claim yours, again, it's for no cost, no charge, no obligation. It's simply an invitation to have a conversation to see how Tom and the team of Mosley Wealth Management can help and serve you. All you have to do is just call that number you see there on the bottom of your screen, 866-709-1462, or you're also welcome to scan that QR code and that will get you connected as well. More on Right on the Money right after this.
You've got quite an extensive resume. Wow, so many years of management. Bet that was fun. So this job requires basic knowledge of the social media and video platforms, content creation, and SEO. How proficient are you in those areas?
Going back to work after retiring is not ideal. I'm Tom Mosley with Mosley Wealth Management. If you have amassed a nest egg, it's time for a financial advisor to help you reach your retirement goals. This is one of the greatest tax windows in history. Now is the time to take advantage of this tax discount while you can. We specialize in retirement planning, tax mitigation, estate planning, and much more. Plan your retirement right. Call now for your portfolio review and tax analysis.
Welcome back to Right on the Money with Tom Mosley. I'm your host, Kristin Oakley. We've been discussing all things 401ks, all the questions that folks have regarding their workplace retirement plan, but that you might be afraid to ask. We are unpacking those today. I know, Tom, another question that I think a lot of folks really honestly want to know the answer to, but might be scared to ask. is it okay for me, or should I take a loan from my 401k? How do you respond to that question?
I used to watch the TV show The Big Valley, and I remember, you know, the Barclays had to carry nitroglycerin up the mountain, and they hired this guy to do it, and the first guy, you know, there was this big explosion because it blew up on them.
Right.
Taking a loan out of your 401k is like hauling nitroglycerin up a mountain in a wagon. Be careful. If you take the loan out, there are paybacks provisions that are built into your 401k. If you don't pay them back, you say, I'll just pay the tax on it. Maybe not. Maybe you'll pay the tax on it and you'll pay the penalty if you're under 59.5. So be very careful. Don't put, let me say it a different way. Let me say it a positive way. Put money away into your 401k that you plan on using for retirement and lock that in. But also put money away that you can have access to. You don't have to tap the 401k. Does it work? Yes. Is it legal? Yes. Is it possible? Yes. Could you do it? Yes, 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 yes. Does it blow up on people? Most of the time.
Yeah.
Be very, very careful about borrowing money from your 401k. It's really, really important. And be careful about taking money out early. Be careful about moving your 401k. When you get laid off and you're 55, don't just jump and move it into an IRA. I had a guy do that one time with $1.2 million. He was 53 years old. He did not work with me because I told him the truth. He had moved it into an IRA on his own, and then he wanted me to help him. He came and he said, I heard now I can't take money out of my IRA unless there's a 10% penalty. Right. You can take money out of a 401k before 59.5 without a penalty. There's a process, there's a way. Those are just some of the minefields, the nitroglycerin we help people work through.
Right.
So that when we build a retirement blueprint, there aren't those areas where it can blow up. Loans from 401ks can blow up on you. Be very, very careful.
Just because you can do something doesn't always necessarily mean that you should.
Right.
Bottom line.
Right.
Well,
it could
Tom,
bite you. It could really hurt.
For sure. I know, and there's so much more that we didn't even get into today, but that's all the time we have for
There are other shows.
Yes, there are other shows, so we invite you to come back next week. But thank you so much for being here and joining us to get your complimentary retirement blueprint. Again, that number to call, 866-709-1462. Be safe, be happy, be blessed, and we look forward to being back with you next time here at Right on the Money with Tom Mosley.